Hey guys, welcome back to Cindy's Losing It. Yes, the weight and not my mind. I wanted to hop on and share a part of my journey with you guys. It has absolutely nothing to do with my weight loss journey, but it is a part of my journey nonetheless. Actually, it happened when I was about 20 years old. I got married when I was 19. Um, so today is my oldest son's birthday. His name is Eldredge Einar Classberry Jr. He was named after his father. Um, Today he would have been 30 years old. And I say would have been because about 2.5 months after he was born, he passed away. Now, he was born when I was about 6.5 months pregnant, and he was my second pregnancy. The pregnancy before him was a miscarriage. I have been pregnant 6 times. I have had 2 miscarriages. I've had 2 babies that were born that passed away. And then I have 2 sons that are here on earth with me, Isaiah and Ismakiah, whom I must say are gifts to me because I went through a lot to bring a child into this world. Um, so back to Eldredge. Like I said, he was born when I was 6.5 months pregnant in Kankakee, Illinois, which is about an hour south of Chicago, maybe a little bit less, just depends on what part of Chicago that you're going to. So shortly after he was born, he had to be helicoptered to Chicago, um, where he would be in the neonatal ICU unit for about 2 months until he was pretty much at his full term, which would have been 9 months. And he needed to gain weight. I believe he only weighed about a pound and 13 ounces. He was very small. And his lungs were not fully developed, and that would have been another reason why he would have needed to be in the neonatal ICU unit. So he did pretty good. At one point, he was jaundice, of course, and then they said that he had, you know, some fluid on his spinal cord. But other than that, he was pretty much a healthy little baby. He ended up coming home from the hospital after being there for 2 months. We brought him home to Illinois, and he seemed to be doing okay. One day, I got him out of his little bassinet. I was brushing his hair, and he had the most beautifulest hair ever, jet black with gigantic waves in it. And I was brushing his hair, and I noticed that his chest was not rising and falling. So I told my mom, and we called the ambulance, and we rushed him to the hospital. In the ambulance, his breathing got back to normal. He was doing okay. They gave him some oxygen. He was doing fine. But then it happened again while we were in the hospital in Kankakee. And they didn't know really what to do for him. So they called the ambulance, and the ambulance drove him to Chicago. It was in the winter. And if you know anything about Illinois, the winters are pretty brutal. So a friend of mine and I, we drove to Chicago in the snowstorm, as well as my son's father. He was my husband at the time, so my ex-husband. So we drove there, just to be by his side. And it seemed as though everything was going fine. Then all of a sudden, let me back up. On the way to the hospital in the ambulance, I wasn't there. Of course, they wouldn't allow me to ride. My baby started having seizures. He had never had a seizure before, so he started having seizures. So they got that under control, and they said that by the time he reached the hospital, he had had several seizures. To this day, they still can't explain to me why. And once upon arrival to the hospital, his lungs collapsed. So they put balloons in his lungs to blow them back out. And then eventually they put him on a respirator, pretty much to keep him alive. So we were at that hospital for multiple days. At one point, we left to go home, get some rest, came back. And my pastor at the time, who just happened to be Kathy McEastland, she came back to the hospital with me. She prayed me through. She was there for me. And to this day, I am forever grateful for her. She prayed for him. But, you know, his little body just wasn't strong enough, and he ended up passing away. And I believe he passed away at the end of December, and we had his funeral shortly after, in January, after New Year's Day. And I would have dreams about my baby, that I actually went to the cemetery and unearthed him and brought him home, and he was back to his normal self. And it seems like I was having the same dream over and over because I hadn't come to grips with the fact that I lost my child. So I did try my best to keep getting pregnant again. And so he was my second pregnancy. Then I got pregnant again. That would have been with Isaiah, which was my third pregnancy. Isaiah was born when I was 8 months pregnant, healthy. He was born on the 28th of October, came home on the 31st of October. So Isaiah was healthy. Never had any health issues with Isaiah. Then after Isaiah, I got pregnant again. I miscarried. After the miscarriage, I got pregnant again, and I had Ismakiah. Ismakiah was born premature. He weighed 2 pounds, 14 ounces. 214. He was supposed to be born on February 14th. Isn't that something that he weighed the amount of the date that he was supposed to be born? But he was born on December 24th. The best Christmas present that I could have ever had. And after Ismakiah wasn't even a year old. I got pregnant again. Went to have an ultrasound. I was about 5 months pregnant, and the doctor saw that my cervix was beginning to dilate already. So the next day, immediately, I had to go have surgery, have a stitch in my cervix. That didn't help save the baby. It was supposed to hold the baby in, but it didn't. He ended up breaking through. His name was Isaac Einar Classberry. That's what we named him. I was a little over 5 months pregnant, and he passed away. I will go on to say as well that when I found out I was pregnant with him, I had just had my tubes tied. How he ended up there to this day, I don't know. I never had a cycle after I got my tubes tied, but I was pregnant, and I accepted the fact that God wanted me to have another child. So I went through with my pregnancy. So that was my 6th pregnancy. So with all of that being said, I just kind of wanted to share with you guys a little bit of my testimony, a little bit of my journey. It was taking me so long to have a child. In my mind, I felt like, and so I, along the way, adopted some children and made them my own. The first one being Shemaiah. That was my first baby before I had my own biological children. And after I had my own, I always wanted a girl. So Shemaiah was the closest that I had came to a girl. And God has such a sense of humor. It never allowed me to have any of my own biological girls. But then he gave me some young women, Brianna being one, and Kim being another one. And like I said, Shemaiah and Tiara. And I'm sure there's some more that I can't remember right now. So charge it to my head and not to my heart. And so once I adopted them and they became my children, and I kind of mentored them and became a part of their journey, then God has such a sense of humor that he would bless me with some granddaughters. I have a grandson too. That was my first grandchild, Justice. And I'm just forever grateful for my grandchildren. And then after Justice came Zyla. Justice belongs to Isaiah and Zaina, and Zyla belongs to Ismakiah and Janae. And now I have a third granddaughter on the way, a third grandchild, I should say, and another granddaughter. And she belongs to Isaiah and Zana. Can't wait for her arrival. But I was trying to say that God has such this awesome sense of humor that he may not give us things exactly when we want them, but he is always on time when he does give them to me, give them to us. So I'm forever grateful of how God does things and how he blesses me, how he blesses us. So today, being Eldredge's 30th birthday, we are going to do something that had never ever crossed my mind before, but we're going to go to the park and we're going to do a balloon release for him in his honor to celebrate his 30th birthday. I'm so excited to do this. Today has been a very emotional day for me, especially the first part of it. And it's okay. I realize that it's okay for me to allow those emotions to happen. I was talking to my friend this morning, Tasha, and I was telling her, she asked me how I was doing, and when somebody asks me that from time to time, I always say that I'm fine. But today, and in that moment, I had to allow myself to be vulnerable and tell her that I wasn't doing good, that I was very emotional. And she said, Cindy, it's okay to feel emotions, especially with all you went through. And she said, when you release your book, I want to be the first one to buy it. And at that moment, God says, not only will she be the first one to buy your book, she's to write the foreword to your book, because when you went through everything that you went through, all of those pregnancies, that young lady was there with you. And because of it, I had to let her know that you have to write the foreword. And she said that she would be honored. So to all of my other friends, don't get jealous because she's going to write the foreword. You will get your chance as well. But that first book, she has to be the one to do it. So I held my tears in until the end. Thank you guys for always supporting me. Thank you for being with me on the journey. And now we're doing life together. This channel is no more about only weight loss. It's about my life. It's about your life. It's about life. So with that being said, thank you guys for just listening to my transparent moment. Thank you for allowing me to be transparent. And thank you for just listening to me today. I love you guys. Peace out. And this is the last time you'll hear. Thank you for joining Cindy's Losing It, the Weight and Not My Mind. I love you guys. Take care.